Hi Gemini, I hope that you're all doing well. This reading is going to be about what you need to know for September. Okay, so we are starting off with the same card but in a different position as, I think, Aries. I'm seeing the Ten of Swords. Intense energy immediately. Looks like something that happened has given you time to think. I even get the sense of like you having gone through things and wanting to put that behind you. So we have the Ten of Swords first. So this is like stuff that has happened. But see how Queen of Swords is facing forward? This is your energy. It feels like, yes, this stuff has happened, but I'm trying to put it behind me and like face forward and maybe use that to benefit me now because I can use it to strengthen my discernment. So while it feels like you're trying to face forward after something or maybe certain things have happened, because it doesn't just have to be one thing, it can be multiple things or maybe just a big thing that's sticking out to you. Then we also have this energy here. This energy is about prioritizing. It's about adaptability, flexibility. It's a card of balance as well. So you can have some stuff on your plate that you're trying to focus on presently, like this is what I have going on right now. This is the most important stuff for me to be focusing on. Yes, that stuff did happen and I am acknowledging that. At the same time, I don't want that to get in the way of what I presently have going on. You may feel a little bit less in your emotions because of that. Okay. Something has happened. You in the position of Queen of Swords feels like I want to get my mind into the present moment to focus on what's important to me. I have things that I need to be prioritizing, but Four of Cups can indicate I'm not feeling like I want to do that. I know that I need to be focusing on these things, but sort of like energetically, emotionally, you cannot be doing those things. You can just not be wanting to do these things, even though it can be important stuff that you need to be looking at. Four of Cups can be like, but I don't want to. I know that it's important and there's a part of me that just doesn't want to do it. I know that that's a priority. There's a part of me that just, I don't want to be prioritizing right now. You know, I'm not feeling, see how this person is sort of like turning away? Even though prioritizing is something that can benefit you, or needing to like work with what you have presently can really benefit you, you can just be like, I'm not in the mood right now. It's like really giving that based off of what I'm seeing here. This looks like it has to do with whatever this was that happened. So even though you can be like trying to move forward, you can feel like your feelings about that and just the state that it's left you in energetically is making it hard to focus on the things presently that you have going on that really need your attention and require your attention. Like require you putting your energy into those things. Like it needs you to invest. There are things that you need to invest your energy into. But yeah, Four of Cups is like, I'm not in the mood to right now. I don't want to. Maybe because you're still upset about things. What this can mean too is there's something like fear-based, anxiety, worry that you're experiencing currently. I'm seeing Seven of Cups. I'm seeing Seven of Pentacles fall out, but it almost feels out of place for some reason. I'm seeing an investment over there. I don't know what this has to do with this reading yet, but I'm seeing something else going on. conversation, a person. This is somebody that you would see as being energetically like a bit of a match for you for the most part. This can be like something going on with a relationship, a friend, a social situation. If there's somebody that you can go to, now I'm seeing where this comes through. If there's somebody that you can go to that can help you by talking to this person, this is somebody that you'd seen as being smart and you would trust them because they give you good advice. That person can help you. I'm seeing they'd be willing to. What this seems like is that this thing that happened that still feels kind of fresh for the most part, because it's something that has happened and it's not an open-ended cycle. I'm seeing it be a closed cycle. You get to bump into the next cycle having your mind freed of that. Like, it's not anything that you need to be focusing on anymore because there's no more needing to invest in that anymore. It's kind of like freed up your mind from having to be involved in that. And it does feel like you have completed something, a very big cycle. It feels like things along the lines of your discernment, your problem solving, you appropriately responding to what's going on in your environment, being in your air energy, that being a big part of this. And it feels even like you're having a breakthrough with a part of you that may be really getting better at doing things like advocating for yourself, setting boundaries. This feels like whatever this was that had happened, having the world be attached to it. This is something very challenging that you've gone through, but having the world is like, I've learned my lesson. Has to do with your discernment in a big way. And this will allow things to change for you. It does look like this is part of a breakthrough, and I'm seeing there be, like, things can grow now, there can be change, but there can be a part of you that's almost like not on board with this, even though this is like, in a more zoomed out perspective, I'm seeing this be a good thing for you. There can be a part of you that's just like, after everything that I just went through, I'm not really feeling 100% on board with this. On like a better day, I think that you would be, but just given everything that's going on, there can be a part of you that's feeling like, whoa, things are changing. I feel kind of unstable because of that. You know, it can be a time where like you don't want the variety, surprisingly enough. Like, you could have wanted something to be stable. However, I'm not really seeing that be the case here. Like, this can be a very like growth and change focused time, and the part of you that can feel just drained from what you've been going through may not particularly feel on board. You can even look at something and know that it's good for you, but be like, I'm not in the mood right now. That perspective, that feeling. It's not over with. Even though it like kind of is, it feels like something's still being worked out. Why? I don't understand that. If something is the Ten of Swords, like, how do you have the Five of Wands be connected with it. Like if something's over with, why is there still some type of issue here? Feels like maybe something hasn't been resolved. So maybe it's not. Maybe the way that something happened, it still leaves you with some type of problem here that's being worked out. I need to understand this. I'm going to clarify what this Five of Wands is about. Because the way that I'm seeing things energetically, say you have something going on with you and another person, and then something happens, so you guys are like, okay, we're not talking to each other anymore. Five of Wands indicates you still fighting with them. So that's why I'm not understanding. If something has ended and it's not a thing anymore, like how is there still something that's happening? Even if that's not literally exactly what's some of you it is, but for some of you that's not literally what's taking place, but it's something along the lines of that, of something has closed out, so it's not really, why is your energy still invested in that? And it's like an energy that they're still clashing and there's still some type of issue there. Maybe you still have to fight for something. Fight for what? I wonder if this is just internal conflict. Okay. What this can be is that there may have been like a call or something that was done, that a cycle closed out, but there can be a part of you that, even though you can look at it and know that it was the best thing for you, you can be like a little bit, I don't know if I want that, but I'm not seeing it actually be like that. Feels like something wasn't for you anymore. Like you're not supposed to be in that cycle anymore, and you're not. But mood-wise, there can be a part of you that feels like maybe confused about it. Something is supposed to be ended, but your feelings, you're out of the cycle, but your feelings are kind of like, part of me wants to go back into that. It feels like that type of, like there's still a relationship to that. You may not feel totally on board with something actually closing. That's where the conflict is coming from. So you can look at something and say, like, maybe there's a part of me that doesn't want to leave it like that because you're fighting change. Even though, like, Ten of Swords, this thing that closed out, it's meant to be a breakthrough moment for you and a lesson complete. I've learned my lesson, so my life can change now, so things can change now. But the part of you that's fighting change may be trying to weasel its way back into reverting into that, even though I'm seeing your guides be like, no, please keep moving forward, keep moving forward. But yeah, there can be a part of you that's like, even though you can know something's not good for you, yeah, even though you can know that, there can be a part of you that feels uncomfortable with the change, you know? You can feel like, I'm not totally on board with this, even though I know this is better for me. Maybe I feel more comfortable with what I know, even though that wasn't something that's good for me. So it feels like having to work with that part of yourself that can just feel not totally on board. From everything that I'm seeing, and I will make this call again once we get to the end of the reading, but from everything I'm seeing, it looks like one of those situations where it's good that this came to an end, and it is a breakthrough moment for you, where you really can stand your ground, and that can be, you finalize, like you really did learn your lesson, you don't have to go back into that, and you have to prioritize change and expansion and growth now. That is what's being encouraged. But there can be a part of you that doesn't want to, because you want to go back into something that you're going to end up getting the same result again. But there can be a part of you that like wants to open this back up. I'm not seeing that be encouraged. I'm not at all seeing that be encouraged, but there can be this feeling. Let's see where this feeling comes from. Like, why, if you know that that's not good for you to go back into, would you? I just get this, like, you know, sometimes you don't know better. This feels like one of those times where you're learning to know better or you're learning better. But there can be a part of you that's like, I would rather go back with what's familiar to me, even though I'm seeing something that feels like a pretty treacherous cycle that was about you advocating for yourself and you using your discernment. But you may not feel like you've developed that part of yourself. Yeah, I'm seeing it like you don't have to go back into it, but the part of you that can be like, I'm not through learning that lesson, may want to drift you back into that cycle. I'm not seeing it be encouraged that you go back into it, but the part of you that it's like you determine whether you've learned that lesson or not. And if you go back into it, it's not going to be a new lesson. It will be the same lesson again, but it can end here if you allow it to. Like, you don't have to get pulled back into it. You can turn down the energy to be brought back into this. Like, you don't have to. You ultimately are the authority here. You get to decide what you want to do. Is this like Saturn and Jupiter having a little dance with one another? Because this is something that if you don't, until you complete this lesson, we're just calling it a lesson. Until you complete this lesson, this process, you won't be able to expand. You won't be able to grow from that point because basically you like didn't graduate. But once you graduate from this energy, then there's going to be expansion. Then there will be change and you won't do this cycle again. Now is one of those times where you do not have to go back into this and do this cycle again. However, if you did not like learn the lesson essentially and you want to set yourself back up to go back into it, you will just repeat it again. So that's what I'm seeing with this. I do want to see the Four of Cups. Like, where is this coming from? Like, why would this even be a question? Looks like it has to do with your self-worth. So if you're not at that point where there's been a recognition of self-worth, you can go back into this, is what I'm seeing. This is a relationship thing for most of you. Yeah, self-worth, what you have to offer, your value, self-esteem, those, yeah. That's what I'm seeing this be chalked up to here. So yeah, if you're finally at this point, that it does make sense based off of what I'm seeing here. If you've gotten to a point where you're like, I know my worth, I have learned this lesson, you don't repeat this again. And I just want to say, like, this is not coming from a place where there's any type of judgment. If you want to go back into this cycle, there's nothing wrong with that. We're just talking about what will happen. You will just end up repeating the same thing, and then maybe when you get to this point again, you'll be like, okay, I've had enough, I've learned my lesson, and you'll just end up right back here. So it won't like regress you at all. This can just be a point where it's like there's a cycle here, here, and here, and you are right here right now, and you can either go here and then have to come here again. So you'll either go like back into the loop and have to come into this middle space again, or from this place where you are, you don't have to go back into it and you can actually just go forward. But forward means expansion and change. And there can be a part of you that is not feeling super receptive to that. And it feels like that's going to determine things. It would benefit you to take a long pause here rather than immediately revert back into something. But for some of you, you're not going to revert back into it. You're going to move forward. But things are going to change in a really wonderful way. You will see if you move forward with this. And this is not one of those things where it's like, if you don't do it now, this is going to be a missed opportunity. Not at all how things work. What's going to happen is that if you don't take the opportunity now to move forward, you'll go back in and then you'll come back to this place again, and then you'll have the opportunity again at that point when you'll see, and it will also, like, you're gonna gain something no matter which way you go, because if you do happen to go back into this cycle and come back to this place again, you'll be able to review at that point and be like, wow, I get it. When I keep making this choice, I keep going around and around and around. And at that point where you don't want to repeat it again, because the cycle isn't going to change, it will be the same thing over and over again. At that point, you'll look at it and say, oh, like, I don't want to go on the merry-go-round again. I want to move forward. And the only way forward is going to be a way that will change. Things will shift, things will change at that point. And then it will not be that type of cycle anymore. It will not feel like a repeat. It will feel like new stuff that's coming in, new learning that's happening, new expanding that's happening, new self-discovery that's happening, and wisdom gained. But there will be wisdom gained no matter which way you go with this. You just get to decide what you want to do. Do you want to go back and do you want to repeat it, or do you want to basically like go to the next grade or the next level of things? But yeah, there can be a part of you that's digging your heels in, because you may be like, well, I don't want the change and I just want to go back into this cycle and have it be different, but that's not an option here. As much as you may want it to be. Investing in things that align with your values and where you won't be taken for granted. You know, it's like investing in things that give back to you when you give to them. What would be needed to allow something to be maintained? And that is how you build stability within your life. And more opportunities to come. Yeah, for some of you, you can have somebody that you're going to talk to that will give you very wise, it's like somebody that's on your level, like mentally, that you can chat with about this, that will help you when it comes to what the best thing is for you to invest in. This is somebody that you feel like they think how I think, but they will be sort of more objective because they're not caught in this. And this person will be able to like really give you some wisdom here. So that can be something that you find as being very helpful for you, so you can actually get onto your next path that you'll be moving down. Feels like this is also something that will reinforce your own self-worth and like what will actually feel like it's sustainable for you, rather than another cycle of things not being sustainable and then inevitably coming to this point. Yeah, it feels like making the leap or not making the leap here. Like, are you ready for the change, or do you want to do this again? And you can invest in the next path that will feel like the place to be. That is how this can work. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Those are the main points. This really can be a done thing if you don't want to do that cycle again. Like, this really can be you don't have to go back into it at all. You also have to manage the part of you that's trying to work out, like, do I invest in going back and do that again, or do I invest in moving forward? And that's basically what's going to be being worked out. You don't need to rush the process. You can take as long as you want to make that choice, because it's going to be like a hefty one, no matter which way you end up going. But it will be an investment, and maybe looking at it like that can be helpful to you. Like, are you investing in something that's actually going to be solid and stable for you, which feels like that's connected with moving forward with things, or are you actually undermining your stability depending on what you're investing in? I do see a breakthrough that you're going to have if you have not had it already. And this is something that's going to feel like, you know, when you go through something and you feel like you actually come out on the other side of it, and like it's a moment where nothing is clearer than that moment where you're like, wow, everything makes sense. I'm seeing the connections. I feel totally crisp and present here in this moment. That's what I'm seeing is going to be happening. And you do have that opportunity then at that point to accept like what the Wheel of Fortune has brought to you. Like, are you ready for life to change in a way where you'll feel like, I don't have to drudge through this stuff anymore? Wheel of Fortune is coming through and being like, life can be much better than this. And do you want it to be? But you have to feel like I'm worth it. And if you're still struggling, well, I mean, it's not even like that. You can still be struggling with this and still make the choice to move forward with things. But if you just like have not found that within you yet, it's like, well, go back and go in there again until you've gotten to your limit and you're like, I will not stand for this anymore. And that really being the thing that's going to like shift for you at that point when you're ready for the change, where you're like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not willing to do this anymore. And that will be the moment that things change for you. Because what you end up when you go back into that is like denying yourself the reciprocity that you actually deserve, and something that will be sustainable for you. Wow. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I am sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.